Now, people see the supplements, the labels, the athletes, but what they don't see is the grind behind it all. Now, we didn't start this company with $1 million investment. We started it with a mission. Now, this vlog will be real behind the scenes of what it takes to build a brand from nothing while still showing up every day. Today, I discuss what it takes to start a business and grow it from the ground up.
Now, when people see the highlight reel of businesses or other people's lives, that's all they're seeing is just the goods. A lot of people don't understand all the sacrifices you have to make when you start a business, like we're talking about. Sleepless nights, 14 to 16-hour work days, missing out on parties, birthdays, separation from your loved ones. So in order to be an entrepreneur, especially when you don't have capital, it requires you to take on a lot of that responsibility and have a different type of mindset to be resilient. But I'm gonna give you my take on it in the supplement industry, just because it is a highly volatile and very saturated market. So if you are gonna start a business, you're gonna have better success jumping into a market where there's not a lot of competition. If you have a good product, you're in an evergreen market, you'll be able to grow a lot faster.
Number one, what is your story? It could be a story around the product and the problem it solves. It could be the founder's story tied to a social or economic issue.
But we knew supplements was our space. That derived from my military background. So people will ask me, how did you start UXO Supplements? Like, where'd you come up with the idea? Everything was spawned from the military. I never really got into the gym until after I joined the military. And I remember when I first went to the recruiter's office and they had me take a PT test, could barely do 25 push-ups. Took me like 24 minutes to run 2 miles, and I think I threw up like 3 or 4 times, but I fell in love with it. If you're gonna be deploying to a combat area, you gotta be in peak physical shape. By the time I came up on my first deployment to Afghanistan, I was now running like 6.5-minute miles. But then you deploy to a combat zone, you add those extra stresses on top of it, and it really wears on you. So over in Afghanistan, we'd come back off of mission. Regardless how tired we were, me and a few of the guys, we would just go to the gym. Place to take out your aggression on the weights, was therapy, like every single day. It was also my first deployment to Afghanistan that I started to learn about supplements. They would do health and welfare checks on us. Our leadership would come into our barracks or our CHUs, and they would take a look at the supplements that we were taking. And if there was anything on the ingredients panel that was banned by the military or deemed banned, they would confiscate it from us. So there were times that I was buying supplements from bodybuilding.com just to have it confiscated. So that really got me to dig into why were these ingredients banned? And I started ordering in raw ingredients, like just creatine and glutamine, raw ingredients, mixing them up in a shaker and using like Mio Energy or like Crystal Light for flavoring. Tasted god awful, but I knew my shit wasn't gonna get confiscated. And I fell in love with the science behind it, and then preaching to others, educating others on what they should be using, what they should be avoiding. But the second part to this story, so we come back from Afghanistan, we had 4 soldiers within our brigade that committed suicide within a 2-week span. And it was just soldiers that couldn't deal with their demons from, regardless what it was, home life situations, what they saw in combat. To them, the only escape was to take their own lives. But that was my first experience with veteran suicide. Veteran suicide has become an epidemic in our country. Stat was 22 veterans a day take their lives. And with me being a combat vet and have PTSD and anxiety, it's like I can relate to the issues that we face today and the lack of resources there. But we'll come back to this part of my story later on because it ties directly into the supplement company. The VA is quick to throw medication at you to try and put a band-aid on things to fix it. I found my therapy was always getting in the gym, releasing endorphins here. You feel better when you leave the gym. So the medication that the VA would give me, it never made me feel any better. So the gym became my therapy. Fast forward, after 7.5 years in the military, I decided it was time to get out. I got my degree while I was in, but I wasn't prepared for the mental mind fuck that would do to me, because when you take off those combat boots and you hang up your uniform for that last time, you lose your sense of purpose. You lose a piece of your identity and you don't know what you stand for anymore. And I jumped into the workforce and I was working a job, but it wasn't fulfilling. And that's why I decided I needed to do something that would not only fulfill me, give me drive and purpose again. And so we formed UXO Supplements for 2 reasons. So we wanted to offer a quality product that would help encourage people to get in the gym, but we also needed that purpose piece. And for me, it was associating with organizations like the DAV, Mission 22, VEA, and being able to give a percentage of our profits to those organizations so they can continue to provide resources for veterans. Mission 22 we've been closely embedded with, and we've raised a bunch of money for them to help them support veteran suicide awareness, and put programs into place to help veterans who suffer from PTSD and have anxiety and are potentially high-risk candidates. But when we jumped into this, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Find a mentor. Others have traveled this road before you. Having someone on your side that has real-life experience can help you avoid costly mistakes in the beginning.
If you are gonna start a business, highly recommend that you get a mentor. Like I said, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We didn't have anybody to help guide our hand. So that means that we made a lot of mistakes in the very beginning. You hear some mentors out there that'll charge, $5,000, $10,000. I can guarantee you that investment up front would have saved us thousands in the long run. So when you run a business and you're making decisions on the fly and you're dealing in a realm that's new to you, you're bound to make mistakes. Some are going to be more costly than others. I know one mistake alone cost me about $12,000 to fix. If we would have had a mentor guiding our hand, helping us ultimately think about downsides or repercussions for some of our actions, we could have probably avoided a lot of those pitfalls and came out on top a lot sooner. Because of all the costs associated with our mistakes and trying to make things right, kept us in the negative for quite a while. We had to take loans to unbury ourselves and get to a point where we were actually net profitable as a business. So bottom line, if you have the ability, I would pick a mentor, but be smart with your choices, not just any mentor. Someone who's proven, and preferably someone that's in the industry that you're trying to break into, that has real life, real world experience in that arena.
There's a difference between having a good product and a really great, unique product. Setting yourself apart from the sea of others will give you more momentum early on.
You gotta have a good product. If you wanna stand out, especially in a saturated market, you gotta have something about your product that makes it different, that makes it unique. It's another tough lesson for us, right? When we first launched, we launched a pre-workout that was pretty similar to pretty much everything out there on the market. So we relied on our story to be our differentiator, have people buy into the fact and like that we're a veteran-owned organization, that we give back to the veteran community, and we relied on that over quality of product. Then as we evolved, we started to learn our lessons and seeing what we could do to be better than everybody else. So we weren't just another name in the supplement industry. Like, how could we be a leader in the industry? And this took us years, guys. Like, we evolved our product lines, but it was hard to really find something that made us super unique when there's so many different supplement companies out there. And then about a year ago, we launched M777. Now, this is the most loaded pre-workout on the market. There's nothing quite like it. It's an absolutely loaded formula with a couple ingredients that you're not gonna find in a bunch of pre-workouts out there. This became our differentiator. Now we had something that we could market, something that was different, unique, that people hadn't seen. And so it's easier to run ads on and talk about how unique the product is and get people excited about it. If we would have started with a product like M777 in the beginning, we would have been well off. See, in the beginning, when you're limited on capital, you don't have a whole lot of money, it's difficult to do that. So we had to start small and then build upon that.
There's various ways to start. You can work on your own dollar, or you can use other people's money. Using your own money leaves you in total control.
So raising capital is going to be one of the hardest things that you're going to face when first starting out. You have a couple choices. Now, you could go get an investor, but just keep in mind there's good money out there and there's bad money. Here's what I mean by that. Good money is if you have an investor, someone that is tenured in the space and can be that mentor to you that we kind of talked about. So that's someone that's going to have just as much skin in the game as you, and that's someone that can help you navigate through the complexities of starting your own business. So what is bad money? Bad money is more of a silent investor. That's someone that wants to put their money into it, have you do all the hard work, and then wants a paycheck at the end of the day. That's not something I would recommend doing. If you're gonna have an investor, you want it to be someone that's gonna have your back, that's gonna help guide you. Or you could do it just how we did it. We had $10,000 down payment, we started off small, and we compounded it. Every bit of money we made, we dumped back into the business to help it grow. And that is a slow and steady trajectory. You may see some of these companies that explode overnight. You're not gonna be able to do that with limited amounts of capital. You're gonna have to be smart with your decision making, you're gonna have to be very frugal, and you're gonna have to rely on quality of product and word of mouth to push you forward. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. If you're passionate about it, you have a love for it, you have purpose behind your product and what you're doing, then that's gonna carry you through the times where you struggle, through the times where you lose money, and it's gonna keep you pushing forward. You hear that most businesses fail within the first year. There's a couple reasons for that. Either they have a faulty product, they don't know how to market it, or they just don't have the drive and passion that's needed to push that company forward. So if you have the passion, the drive, it's gonna help you push through the tough times where you're losing money and you're taking shots to the chin, you're falling down, you're able to get right back up. That will make you successful. And if you grow the business within the first year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that time frame looks like to where it is profitable, then don't give up. Too many people give up right before they hit it big. Trust me, there were plenty of times where I wanted to give up with the business, where I thought it was just best to shut the doors, call it a day because of all the sacrifices and pain and not seeing the momentum that we wanted to see. But it's that consistency. It's showing up every single day, pushing forward, grinding, evolving the business, listening to your customers, and continuing to show up is going to drive that momentum. And momentum is what a successful business needs in order to be profitable. So take an investor, raise your own capital, but be smart with that capital. Don't go blowing your money. And reinvest back into the business. Evolve the product, add systems, add resources to help your business grow and flourish. And I'm telling you, with time, sweat, blood, tears, you will grow something. And even though our roadmap to growth and success has been very, very long and slow, you have to be able to reflect and look back upon your accomplishments and celebrate those. Because without those small victories, none of it would have compounded and grown to where it is today. Now keep in mind, my business is by no means a huge success, and it still has a long ways to go in my eyes. But I'm proud of the fact that we started this company with $10,000 and literally 2 products. And now we have a catalog full of products and at least $600,000 worth of inventory right now on hand. I consider that a success. Counting that and the fact that the business is now profitable, I see that as a huge success. And I just wanted to be able to share my story. You guys can learn from our learning lessons and maybe plan to avoid some of those. So do me a favor. If you did get any value from this vlog, let me know. Give it a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a comment, so that way we know if this is more content that you want to see, and we'll be able to provide more value that way. But we don't know if you don't tell us.